morning. Good morning, everyone. I am Mary Ellen Carroll. I am the director of the Department of Emergency Management here in San Francisco. This morning at 8 a.m., we activated our Emergency Operations Center here at 49 Van Ness, South Van Ness, and we will be activated here at the EOC through the duration of APEC. The EOC is the main coordination center for the city. It's where we convene all of our city partners, many of whom the leaders you see here in front of us. We also have representation from our state and federal partners in the EOC. We will be working together to problem solve, to communicate, to coordinate, and to provide public information throughout the event. This is a historic moment for San Francisco and a historic event for all of us. We're so proud to be able to host APEC in our city. However, there will be impacts on the city. We know that, as we've been sharing, we are going to have areas of very high security. We're going to have shutdowns of certain streets. Transit will be impacted. And we want the public, we want the people that live in San Francisco, we want our visitors and everyone here to be well aware and to plan ahead. Getting around is going to be a little different during APEC. There will be challenges, and we will be sharing that information as we go. We also want people to know that this is going to be a dynamic event, and we expect that there will be changes throughout the week. We are here to ensure that that information is well coordinated and that we are sharing it in a timely and accurate manner. We want to ensure that city and county's basic services, our continuity of government, will continue as the event happens, and that we support and make this event successful for everyone. So with that, I would like to turn it over to our mayor, London Breed.
Thank you, Mary Ellen. And this kind of feels like a bit of deja vu here, almost what we had to go through during COVID, except we have smiles on our faces. Back then, it was, of course, a lot more challenging times, and here we are doing what San Francisco does best. When it comes to challenging situations and the need to pull together to ensure that we are prepared for any and all situations, we bring many of our department head leaders that are joining us here today to really focus on making sure that we are doing everything we can to clearly communicate to the public. Now, today is not the first day that we started working on APEC. As many of you know, we made an announcement several months back when the Vice President, in fact, Kamala Harris, announced that San Francisco would be chosen as the location to host this significant event where all of the world will be watching. And so we began preparation, not just in raising the over $20 million necessary to support a lot of the activities that are occurring during APEC, but to also ensure that our various agencies were prepared and working with state and federal officials because we know this is unlike anything we've ever experienced, at least for those of us who were not around during 1945 when the United Nations was established in San Francisco. But things are changed. Technology is a part of what we have to deal with, and but street closures and roadblocks and a number of motorcades and other things, those are things that we need to make adjustments for. So as Mary Ellen Carroll said, there will be some inconvenience. And more recently, I know that some people have said after a global pandemic, folks have been sitting in traffic and they said they've never been happier to sit in traffic. I know that died down just a couple of days after someone has said that. But there will be traffic impacts. And let's just talk a little bit about that. You're going to hear from a number of department leaders who are joining us here today to talk about the various roles. But ultimately, we know that many of the activities will be happening at Moscone Center. There's going to be a lot of meetings going on with various CEOs and leaders. And we know with that, the perimeter that will be very limited to the public. We will have the chief talk a little bit more about that particular area. But we also know that there will potentially be people who will protest. And we want to make sure that people are able to exercise their First Amendment right to protest. But just to be clear, we will continue to do everything we can to enforce any and all laws that are on the books. Our police department will be fully staffed, not just in the areas impacted by APEC, but also in our neighborhoods all over the city and county of San Francisco. So our goal is to operate this Emergency Operations Center as a vehicle to make sure that we are doing everything we can to alert the public to any and all issues, changes, or things that we are aware of. Because with many of the street closures, with many of the parking restrictions, and in many of these areas, it is not necessarily our decision to impose them. We are following the recommendations of the well, they're not necessarily recommendations, they're requirements from the Secret Service Agency to deal with the ability to move people around and to keep various leaders and delegates safe in San Francisco. So just to give you some perspective, I wanted to kind of go over some of the street impacts and really highlight some of the areas we should be concerned about starting on Tuesday and probably even late Monday night on November 13th. Nob Hill and the areas around the Fairmont Hotel will be impacted, and areas around Moscone Center will be impacted. This is on Tuesday. You'll start to see the fencing going up. You'll start to see some activity and maybe not so much limitation, but there will be activity. On Wednesday, November 15th, areas around Nob Hill and Moscone Center will be fully impacted that day. The bulk of the activities will be taking place on Wednesday and Thursday of next week. So we're talking pretty much about a 72-hour period where there will be impacts. And then also areas around the Exploratorium will be impacted starting midday on November 15th through the evening. On Thursday, November 16th, areas around Nob Hill and Moscone will still be fully impacted. And then areas around the Legion of Honor, including areas on certain streets where there will be no parking signs that have already been posted in and around streets like California and Pine. There will be motorcades crossing from north to south in random parts of the city. So what that means is people will be stuck in traffic on Thursday during the times when that occur. So if you're coming into the city in those particular areas, there will be some impacts. On Friday, areas around Moscone and Nob Hill will continue to be impacted, and we anticipate that Friday, many of our leaders will be leaving San Francisco. We believe that the San Francisco airport will also be impacted, and we expect to hopefully, fingers crossed, get back to normal by Saturday, so everyone can have a great weekend in San Francisco. So just so you know, there is an app, and I know Joaquin Torres is going to talk about that, because yes, there'll be impacts, but also there's opportunities. And what we have tried to do with APEC is to not only ensure that Moscone Center and the various events and activities that are going to be occurring, whether the city is the host or some private company or individual as a host, but we wanted to make sure that the delegates knew about our wonderful restaurants in our various neighborhoods and opportunities to go outside of the Moscone Center area or the hotels that they are staying at and visit other neighborhoods in our city. And so there will be an opportunity to do that, and I know that we've been working really hard. Both Joaquin Torres and Katie Tang have really been very supportive of not only communicating with the community to ensure that people understood what the impacts were in the impacted zones, but also what the possibilities are to ensure that there is a connection between APEC and these various businesses and locations. We also did a lot of work around transportation, and Jeff Tumlin is going to talk a little bit about, some of the impacts related to transportation. And we want people to use public transportation. It's going to be really hard to drive in San Francisco. So we want folks to use the ferries, Caltrain, Muni, BART, all the great systems we have. There are some bus reroutes and some possible closures in the central subway and other areas that are going to be impacted. But public transportation and very comfortable tennis shoes will be really, really good options during APEC, and we want people to take advantage of those things. Ultimately, this is going to be great for our city, and we're talking about the economic impact, the $53 million that we anticipate that will be poured into our economy as a result. But that doesn't even take into consideration the $20 million that we raise that will pay for events at Moscone Center and staffing and food and catering and other things that are necessary to be the host. So this is such a significant impact financially for our city, but it's also exciting. We anticipate that there will be somewhere around 2,200 press from all around the world. Although we love our local press and we appreciate you all being here today, we want people, especially who are coming from other places, to experience San Francisco for themselves so that they can tell the story from their own experience of walking the streets and visiting other parts of our city. We want to make sure that the real story of San Francisco is told. We had a delegation of 250 people come here in advance about a month ago to visit San Francisco and to see all parts of the city. And they all, in many of the cases of the people that I talked to, whether they were from Australia, Peru, China, they said, we have very similar problems in our country, and we are excited to come to San Francisco. That's what I heard over and over again from the various advanced delegation that talked to me directly as they enjoyed a performance of Dear San Francisco at Club Fugazi. So we are looking forward to seeing the impacts of APEC, both the stories that are written, the communication and how people talk about this, the delegates, and we expect there to be more conventions, more tourists, and more economic opportunities because San Francisco is the artificial intelligence capital of the world. We have, of the top 20 AI destinations anywhere in the world, 8 are right here in San Francisco, including the biggest and the baddest one, OpenAI. And they just launched a new platform earlier this week, and people who are visiting, CEOs and companies, they're looking for those connections and those opportunities which will further cement San Francisco's place in this global economy. I am really excited about this, clearly, because we've been working so hard, and the message today really is we are ready. We are ready for this, we are excited about this, and we are asking for the public to be understanding and patient. It is going to be a very challenging time, but the reward for this is San Francisco on the global stage, and others get to see what we know already as residents of the city, how amazing and how special it is. And I, for one, am looking forward to that. And with that, I want to take this opportunity to turn it over to our Police Chief, Bill Scott, to talk a little bit about some of the challenges we expect, what we're prepared for. We have law enforcement agencies from all around the state of California. We're grateful for the support. We're grateful for the California Highway Patrol and our governor for providing resources there, as well as the federal government. There are going to be a lot of eyes and ears from law enforcement on the streets, both uniform and plainclothes, to deal with many of the challenges and to ensure the safety of not just the people who are part of APEC, but the residents all over San Francisco. So with that, our Police Chief, Bill Scott.
Thank you, Mayor, and good morning. So I will start this off with a round of thanks for a lot of people that are standing beside me, starting with our Mayor, London Breed. I have to thank Special Agent in Charge, Jeremy Brown from the United States Secret Service, because they have been a great partner. because this is a national special security event, the U.S. Secret Service is the lead as far as the security on this event, and we could not ask for a better partner to lead this event than the Secret Service and Jeremy Brown. I'll start where the mayor left off. The biggest message for you today is we are ready. We're very excited that this event is being put on in San Francisco because this is a big event. We're expecting over 20,000 people across 21 member APEC economies, hundreds of CEOs from around the world, and our city is ready to meet that moment. Now, as the mayor mentioned, we expect that there will be quite a bit of First Amendment activity during this coming week, and we are prepared for that as well. This city knows how to facilitate First Amendment activity. We do it time and time again. We respect people exercising their First Amendment rights, but we will not tolerate violence and we will not tolerate property destruction. I want to make that very clear. We are prepared to take action if those things do occur. Working with our Sheriff Paul Miyamoto and many other law enforcement partners, we want this to be a safe event for everyone. So we are prepared for that. If you are involved in a protest, please know and be aware of what people around you might be doing, especially if they are committing crimes. If you see that, we ask that you please report it. Don't stand and be complicit to others around you committing crimes, because those people make it bad for everybody. We will work to communicate with demonstrators to ensure that everyone is treated with respect, because that is what this city is all about, treating people with dignity and respect, and to make sure that everybody's rights are protected. The San Francisco Police Department will have a full-time team working with all of our department bureaus for APEC events and the city as a whole. And as Mayor Breed mentioned, we will have full deployment all across the city, so we don't expect any disruptions to emergency services in any other part of the city. We are ready for that as well. I'd like to give a special thanks to the California Highway Patrol, who have stepped up big time to help put on this event, and we could not do this without their assistance. As far as these types of events, this city has a lot of experience. We've hosted Super Bowls. We host yearly the Pride Parade. We've had the Global Climate Action Summit, victory parades for the Warriors and the Giants. So we know how to do this. And although this is a very big event and we've never had an NSSE event in this city, we are prepared. And again, we are the first. I think we are the first city to host an NSSE event in California. So that is really exciting for us. As far as staffing, we are prepared to make sure that everybody is safe. In short, every able-bodied San Francisco Police Department will be working this week. Every able-bodied San Francisco Police Department. We are fully mobilized, and we haven't done this in quite some time. So that is how significant that this event is. Please follow our social media channels for updates and unfolding events. We will keep the public informed if there are any changes or disruptions that the public needs to know about. We do not anticipate, again, that APEC will anticipate city services, but there will be disruptions to everybody's regular routine. So we have some asks for you. Please be patient. Please allow time, extra time, bake extra time into your daily routines. And also, we ask, if you see something suspicious, report it. It doesn't matter how small. If it's an emergency, a crime of violence, or something that may lead to a crime of violence, call 911. If it's a non-emergency, you can call 311 or you can call 415-553-0123. That is the San Francisco Police Department's non-emergency number. And lastly, I want to say this, that we know that this is a city of many cultures, many backgrounds, many ways of life, and APEC will even enhance that. There will be people from all over the world here. We ask that you please respect and be tolerant of other people's cultures. We have a lot going on in the world right now, and there is Hamas and Israel and all these things that are happening, Ukraine and the like. And we know that there's a lot of tension around the world, but we also know what San Francisco is. We are a city that's accepting and welcome, and we respect everyone that comes here and that lives here. So we ask that that continues, and let's show the world that we are ready, and we are the world-class city. Not a world-class city, the world-class city. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Joaquin Torres. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chief. Thank you, Mayor Breed. Good afternoon, everyone. Joaquin Torres, Assessor Recorder. For the purposes of today, one of the co-leads of the Community Advisory Committee, ensuring that we are celebrating the best of San Francisco. There's been so much work that we've been hard at implementing to make sure that this event is a success, and so that the attendees who are joining us for APEC have a truly extraordinary San Francisco experience. We want them to see what makes us the best in the world as a city, and also provide clarity and information to our residents as they go about their daily lives. So before I go into some of that on-the-ground outreach, I just want to say again, we are excited to have APEC attendees join us to experience our city, its incredible people, the people who live, work, and play here, experience our neighborhoods, our small businesses, our arts and cultural institutions, and our renowned nightlife and entertainment. And by working with members of those communities, we believe that we set up something special for all of them. In August, at Mayor Breed's direction, we set up with the Office of Small Business and Office of Economic and Workforce Development a Community Advisory Committee, together with the Entertainment Commission, meeting with 100 organizations and leaders representing across the board our merchants, our larger businesses, arts organizations, chambers of commerce, and of course, entertainment and nightlife venues. Because of our collaboration, we and they are better prepared for APEC. We've created opportunities, as well as the mayor said, for them to benefit. We provided logistical information on the ground, person to person, resident to residence, business to business, making sure that people's questions are being answered. Can they get their deliveries? What can work for them to do so? What workarounds can we find, of course, all in alignment with what Secret Service has told us we need to follow, to make sure that employees can get to work. We have discount codes, of course, for local museums, art institutions, to encourage APEC attendees to visit those spaces during their time here. And I want to encourage everyone to visit APEC 2023 SF, APEC 2023 SF, where you can get information for attendees in terms of where we're directing them, so they can create their perfect day in San Francisco while they're here. We have flyers in multiple languages from the outreach teams that have been hitting the streets for small business stakeholders, also including those details. QR codes, in addition to the sf.gov/APEC website that we're encouraging everyone to utilize, making sure that they're getting up-to-date information that's on a rolling basis, being updated in real time as we learn more issues or clarify questions that merchants, residents, seniors, and small businesses have. We have a postcard to be even more particular about the impacted areas in a higher area like Moscone Center to ensure that attendees know that when they're outside of one of their events, there are plenty of great businesses to celebrate, including those in Somos Filipinas, one of our renowned cultural districts in San Francisco. And of course, as the mayor mentioned, that one-stop webpage, again, that APEC 2023 SF. Where those conference goers can find out where to go to our restaurants, small businesses, and where to venture out into the outer neighborhoods of San Francisco. Chinatown, Portola, the Bayview, the Excelsior, the West Side. These are just a few examples of the work that we've helped curate together with our partners. At the same time, as I mentioned, we've been doing that outreach with our seniors and those who are vulnerable and might be impacted by some of the transportation interruptions that people may be having, or some of the interruptions related to motorcades. So we wanted to make sure that we were talking with people in Soma, in Nob Hill, in Chinatown, so they knew how to get back and forth, because we know so many of our Chinatown supporters live in south of Market in some of our affordable housing buildings, so they know exactly how to get there and what to watch out for. In partnership with Secret Service, I want to thank the multiple agencies, the Police Department, the SFMTA, the Mayor's Office on Disability, Department of Disability and Adult Services, Office of Civic Engagement and Immigrant Affairs, Office of Small Business, and of course, Sarah Dennis Phillips and her entire team at the Office of Economic and Workforce Development. We've been working to get this information out to you. If you have questions, reach out to us, for those we've already talked to, or reach out, as the police chief said, 311. We have people that are ready to give you the information that you need. So I just want to say, again, that we're very, very grateful to have APEC attendees here. Again, encouraging everyone to visit those websites with questions, to reach out to 311 to get real-time answers, and knowing that we are going to be on the ground communicating in an ongoing manner throughout this event, so people feel connected, respected, and they're getting the clarity that they need to go about their lives and enjoy San Francisco. Thank you.
Thank you, Joaquin. And our final speaker, I want to ask to talk a little bit about transportation and some of the impacts in the city is the head of the MTA, Jeff Tumlin.
Thank you, Mayor. As you know, next week is going to be a fun week in San Francisco. There is a lot going on, but it is not going to be a fun week to drive. We urge everyone who's coming into San Francisco who can take public transit to please do so. BART is offering much better service than it was last year, and it's a great time to get back on BART. The ferries, Caltrain, Golden Gate Transit will all be offering full service. Please take advantage of public transit. When you're in the city, it's also going to be challenging to drive in some locations as well, so we highly encourage you to walk, bike, or take Muni. There will be a couple of Muni reroutes that are important to understand. Because the Yerba Buena station will be closed next to the Moscone Center, we'll be rerouting the T3rd trains via the Embarcadero into the Market Street subway. So if you're heading to events at the Chase Arena, transfer at any Market Street station to the KT trains that will take you to Chase and onward into the Bayview. And if you're wanting to go to Chinatown, we'll be offering very frequent shuttle trains from Powell Street Station and Union Square Station straight into Chinatown Rose Pack Station. There'll be some additional bus reroutes and cable car reroutes. All of that detail can be found at sfmta.com/APEC. That's sfmta.com/APEC. We are updating that information multiple times per day as we get new information from Secret Service. And that's really one of the key things to understand is this event is rapidly changing, and all of us departments here are responding in real time to make sure that we can accommodate the event and its security needs while also making sure that people can get around. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. And just to piggyback on what Jeff just said about things are rapidly changing. That's why we're here today to operate this Emergency Operations Center, because this will be the place where many of our city agencies will receive information and in real time be able to communicate that information to the public and to respond as quickly as possible. We know that this is going to be a challenging time for us, but if I know anything about San Francisco, we always rise to the occasion during challenging times, and this is no different. So I appreciate you all for being here today, excited about next week in APEC and being on the world stage and really allowing others to experience an amazing city. And I also am hopeful that many of the residents and others will take advantage of opportunities to enjoy our city as well during the time of APEC. Finally, we have about 1,200 volunteers who will be out and about in the various communities and helping to direct people during APEC. We have people coming from 20 other countries and speaking multiple languages. We aren't the AI capital for nothing, so there are a lot of different apps and opportunities even now for you to upload translation service in your phone. So if someone's asking you for directions or anything else, you are right there to be the great San Franciscans that we are and provide some guidance in the appropriate language using the appropriate tool to do so. And in addition to that, the APEC app should be very helpful to understanding a lot of great things, events, and activities that are going on. So remember, let's keep those smiles on our faces. Let's continue the excitement. Let's get through this, and let's show the world what San Francisco is made of. And with that, I will open it up for questions.
There are already barricades going up today. We're hearing there are parking restrictions in place starting today, including around this block. Can you talk about what people can expect today, tomorrow, this weekend?
Well, I'll let Jeff Tumlin talk about that, but I think the signage is going up, but the restriction is for a particular day, so it's to start to prepare people. So Jeff, you want to talk a little bit about that?
That's right. So we are getting continual information from Secret Service about the needs for new loading zones, for parking restrictions, for setup over the next several days. We are working in real time in order to accommodate that. Again, the best place to go for information is our website, sfmta.com/APEC. and to look carefully at the signs. We're putting signs up in advance, so please do look carefully at the dates on those signs. Moreover, in places where we're removing significant amounts of parking, we're also working to make sure that our residents have places to park. We'll be suspending street sweeping enforcement in specific neighborhoods on specific days, as well as offering free access for affected residents in SFMTA garages, as well as providing free transit connections from those garages back into neighborhoods. Again, this information is changing rapidly, so please do visit our website for details.
Reporting last night, there's still some concerns among EMTs about communication for response times through checkpoints. Can Secret Service or somebody speak to that?
Well, I should let the fire chief speak to that.
Hi, Janine Nicholson, San Francisco Fire Chief. Yes, there's no need to be concerned. We have resources staffed within those security checkpoints. And we have areas to hand off patients outside of the security checkpoints. We have upstaffed for the week. We have mutual aid ambulances coming into the city. So as always, we remain nimble. That's how we roll in the first place. And we train our members to expect the unexpected. And so we are prepared.
Can you talk about specific measures being taken to deal with protests, and have those changed in recent weeks with the situation in Gaza?
So we've been training for this event since February, and that's just refreshing our officers on First Amendment protests and things of that nature. So as I said earlier, we have a lot of experience with protests, and we don't believe that this is going to be any different. There may be more of them, but we're prepared for that. And just like any protest, you know, our job is first and foremost to make sure that people get to exercise their First Amendment rights. As equally important is to make sure that these protests remain peaceful. And that is our job. If there are opposing factions, we have tactics for that. We try to keep opposing factions separated, and we do a good job at that. And if things start to escalate to violence or something where we have to shut the protest down, we will do that, because ultimately we want everybody to be safe, and that is our ultimate goal. People get to exercise their First Amendment rights, but they don't get to break the law. There's a distinct difference between the two, so we want to remind people of that.
Carlos Cabrera from KQED. Is SFPD or DPW planning to limit or restrict street vending? Next week, I'm thinking in areas like the Mission and Embarcadero that see a lot of street vending.
Well, that's an ongoing effort. You know, street vending has been problematic in our city, and that's an ongoing effort, and we work with Public Works and other city departments to make sure, including the health department, that we get a better handle on that. It is a problem. It's a concern for many communities around the city, and that will continue into this week and beyond. So that's something that is definitely a priority for the city to get a handle on street vending.
I just want to be clear about the timing of the exclusion zone. So it sounds like most of the impacts are going to be on Wednesday, but as you know, another reporter said, we're already starting to see some street impacts today. So if someone could follow up on that.
Well, I would just say most of the impacts are going to be Wednesday and Thursday, but there will be there's signage that's going up now to get people prepared for what those impacts are going to be. For example, the no parking signage on California and Pine, I think it's already gone up, and that won't, is it what?
In the process.
It's in the process of going up, and part of this is for Thursday. It's not for the entire week. So there'll be, and that's why Jeff Tumlin said that it's important to read the signage and to go to their website if they want clarity about their specific neighborhood. But there'll be different things, and it'll maybe happen in some cases, changes could occur last minute, that we will do everything we can through this operation center to notify the public as much as we possibly can. There isn't one thing for one thing. There's Moscone Center will be the most impacted area. There are certain places where there are events. There are other events that we have heard that may happen where there may be impacts in the downtown area. So as we get the information, we will do everything we can to not only communicate to the public, but post the appropriate signage and be understanding of people who may not be able to get the information in a timely fashion. We will, as was said, some of the street cleaning, not in every neighborhood, but in impacted neighborhoods will be suspended to allow for opportunities for people to park. So we're going to try to do our very best to communicate as much information as we possibly can.
I guess for the Secret Service, you know, in terms of the timing of like implementing those checkpoints and stuff, when exactly does all of that start? Is that Monday or Wednesday?
So as the mayor outlined it in her statement, she did an excellent job, thank you, by the way, of explaining it's dependent upon the location, but she covered it at the top, and briefly I'll go over it again. You'll start to see significant impacts around Nob Hill and the Fairmont Hotel on Monday evening, late Monday evening, and into Tuesday morning. That area will become fully impacted by midday on Tuesday, and that will last through Friday. At the Moscone Center, that will begin to become impacted Tuesday night, the 14th, and will become fully impacted by Wednesday morning, the 15th, and that will last through Friday the 17th and possibly Saturday the 18th. The other two areas the mayor mentioned, the Exploratorium, that impact is only only Wednesday the 15th, and then the Legion of Honor is Thursday the 16th. My name is Jeremy Brown. I'm an Assistant Special Agent in charge with the U.S. Secret Service, and I'm the National Special Security Event Coordinator for this APEC Leaders Summit.
I'd just like to add one thing for city, for more emergent, larger events that may happen. We will use Alert SF. So we encourage all residents and visitors to sign up for Alert SF by texting your zip code to 888-777, and we also have an APEC short code, so anyone can just text APEC, A-P-E-C, to 2023, APEC 2023, to 888-777. And so if we have something suddenly that happens, an area of the city in which we want people to avoid, or we have an incident, we'll be able to get that information out. However, I do want to say for the details and the day-to-day, SFMTA for street information is your go-to.
So Mayor, you were mentioning that you want the real story of San Francisco to be told. How would you kind of describe that story, and do you think there's sort of a fake narrative about the city being spread around?
Well, I think that some of the things that are being put out there about San Francisco are challenges that exist in other major cities. The fentanyl crisis in particular is impacting the entire United States. And San Francisco is not only working very hard to address it, we are seeing some significant change now that we are receiving a lot of support from the state and federal government. Our capacity has increased to deal with it. So that's just an example. But what I've noticed recently, the streets are a lot cleaner. I noticed that in especially neighborhoods, we have been able with First Year Free to see over about 3,600 new businesses open in a lot of neighborhood areas where businesses were shuttered. I see a lot of activation and excitement in those neighborhoods, in our parks and open space. I see a lot of beauty all over San Francisco, and my hope is that the story of San Francisco is all of that too, because unfortunately the story of San Francisco, in some cases, people who may not even live here, who are taking what they see on social media in a snapshot in time, is not the complete story of our city. So my hope is that people will have the opportunity to experience San Francisco for themselves and tell the whole story.
Follow-up question for Special Agent Brown. So at yesterday's press conference, we heard that folks entering the red zone in Yerba Buena will have to prove or verify that they have a reason to be there relating to APEC. I'm thinking about folks that need to go in there for catering or for cleaning. What the specific documentation will they be needing, or how can someone prove that they have an APEC-related reason, right? I mean, I know you mentioned yesterday that folks won't need to show their immigration status, but do folks need to show an ID or some sort of documentation from their employer?
So let me just take the question in several parts, because you asked several questions there. But the first thing I would say is anybody who's working the event as a caterer or anything like that has already been identified, and they would be credentialed to be allowed in. They would have a credential for the event itself. In terms of people who are accessing businesses or hotels, we have a system in place to verify that those people are registered with that hotel. We also have outreach that we've done with businesses to identify who may be coming to their business as much as possible in advance. In terms of the question regarding showing identification, that is not required to happen at any of the pedestrian checkpoints. The only place that happens is when a resident enters the vehicle exclusion zone operating a vehicle. And that's because they're operating a vehicle. We need to make sure that they're lawfully operating that vehicle.
Oh, sorry, it's all good. My question is, we just had a high security event in the memorial for Dianne Feinstein. I'm curious as to, I know you've been planning this for a while, but how much did that inform the response here over the next few days, next week?
Well, as far as the police department and
Police, transit, I mean,
yes, all of us. Yeah. We're a team, and I think hopefully this city's response during the COVID crisis showed the world the type of team we are. I know we stood next to the mayor for months as a team to inform the public, to tell the public what we're doing, and this is what we do. So the senators' services, we came together as a team, and everybody did their part, and that's what's going to happen here as well. All of us are working together with our federal partners, and that's kind of how we do business here in San Francisco. So, as I said before, we do have a history of doing these types of things, and this may be a bigger scale, but it's the same concept. We come together as a team.
Any specific lessons learned? I know you had to kind of change directions a little bit there at the last minute.
Well, the one thing is, nobody expected, the death of the senator, so we had to do a lot of work really, really quickly, and it came together like we expected it to, and there's a whole lot of people to thank for that in this room and not in this room, but we came together and we responded, and that's exactly what we will do for this.
Mayor Breed, I'm wondering how closely you've been coordinating with Governor Newsom on everything surrounding APEC and sort of what his role in all of this is going to look like.
Well, the governor is a part of the host committee for this event. We have been working with his team on resources, which he did provide through the California Highway Patrol to assist with our law enforcement efforts. He will be participating in the conference. We anticipate that he will, and I think if you are interested in knowing the specifics, you should reach out to his office to verify the specific role he may play, whether that's at one of the panels or any speeches or anything of that nature, but he is definitely involved in APEC. Thank you all very much.